Well, it's funny because for me, what I want to present today is it kind of I kind of thought about it after our you don't get the show about reviews and then plagiarism. Um, how I do reviews is different because I mean I've seen reviews forever. Like, even back in my Alienware days, just seeing how some people go through and they'll be super technical. So they're going and they're telling you about the specific stats compared to this, compared to that. Then you have like the more general person who is just more giving you like an overview. And I was like, okay, if I did reviews, like what is my style? Because it's like I'm technical, but I'm not the kind of person that's gonna be comparing the exact wattage between this and that. I mean, especially with the internet, that's things that you'll see right on the page when you go to whatever you're trying to purchase. So I tried to go with just like a basic user. Like how would you use it in your everyday? And does the cost of it match what you're trying to get out of? So for me, headsets are really important because I'm always talking on my games now. Back in the day, I would type all the time, but now everything's either in-game voice chat, Discord, TeamSpeak, something like that. So for me, having that on, I need to know that it's going to sound well, and most important for me, it's comfortable. So I got to review this one here, the Sennheiser. It is the GS 500. Is that right? Sennheiser?
Sennheiser, yeah,
Sennheiser? I think it's
Sennheiser,
Sennheiser.
something
German
Sennheiser.
company. I'm not that good at German. Um, but basically, so how I do my reviews is based on usage, just your basic usage. Because I mean, you can look up the stats about this, and there's a couple of things that you'll know. Just, I mean, anyone that's ever dealt with this company know that they have really good drivers, they have really good sound, they have really good microphones. So at that point, you're not really comparing. I mean, you can start doing the numbers in terms of like background noise. And one of the interesting things here is they were talking about noise canceling, which I only heard of like in Bose, and then I started to listen to it, especially when I would take a flight. This talks about having like a noise canceling microphone. What that means is like if you ever played with someone that has like an open mic in Discord or any TeamSpeak, the idea is that it almost like creates a zone where it's picking up your voice and then like a little cone of radius of sound around it, and that all the external noises don't necessarily get picked up. Now, yes, you can adjust a lot of that as far as the microphone sensitivity levels and whatever you happen to use. But what they're saying is that with this type of microphone, it's built in so that it's not going to pick up all that extra noise. So like if you have a regular microphone here or even the broadcast microphone, like the broadcast microphone, it is set to send the omnidirectional sound to you, so you're getting most of your voice here, but it can still pick up sound from the side. So depending on how it's designed, that's whether you'll hear more things like someone knocking on the door, my air conditioner, things like that. So having a microphone like this, hopefully you can have like the open mic and someone isn't there like, hey, I hear you breathing, or is that a dog in the background, or what do I hear? It's like all those things. Though I like push to talk though myself, so I'll
I,
tell you that.
I was about to say we have had things in this show. It's like, what in the world is that good in the background when you hear your AC going?
Yeah, especially me because my AC will be quiet and then it'll be loud, and it's not that it's like knocking or anything like that. It'll just be like I don't know, it's just blowing harder, which I don't know because I have it set to the same temperature. But then sometimes I'll have the fan on or something. I've had microphones where it picks up the microwave, and but even when they hear me talk, they'll say, "Oh, I sound weird." So it's really weird if it's picking up the microwave that's in another room, but
Mm,
my voice still sounds funny. So
yeah.
how I tested this was very simple. I'm not like I said, I'm not super technical. What I did is last week I was playing for hours on end with people in two distinct games. I was playing World of Warcraft and I was playing Monster Hunter World. So in both I was talking to people both in the I used the WoW client in WoW, their voice channel, and I used Discord. So I told the guys, I was like, hey, I'm testing out these headphones, so I'm going to take off the push to talk and see if it's open. And I did notice a difference where you still have to set the sensitivity to where it works well. But I noticed that even me, like sometimes, like if I get into something heavy, I'll do one of those things where you let out like an exhale or something like that. It didn't really pick up that as much as some of those other microphones. So look, I can't give you a drop down as far as if the noise canceling microphone is how good that is. I'll leave that to people much better than me. But I can tell you, just in comparing it to some of my other mics, especially like the desk mics where you like lean over and talk into it, yeah, it works much better, especially if you have open mic. And if you're push to talk, it's golden. Everyone said I sounded crystal clear, it sounded really well. And what's really cool about this is, so if you notice, it doesn't have like the one that I'm using here. You can't focus it all over the place. But what's really cool is that if you turn this up, it mutes it for you.
Hmm.
So that's pretty cool. Just that little feature, because like if you're doing open mic and then you're talking, and then let's say your mom, your girlfriend, someone comes in the room, you just flip this up and it mutes it. That's pretty sweet. And you also have on the side here the volume control,
Hmm.
which I always like being able to do that like on the headset. So it's like, sometimes I have the sound really low coming from my PC speakers, and then I have voice in here. But then sometimes, they're talking about whatever. We're not actually strategizing, but maybe something on the game, a cutscene or something. I could just quickly turn it down. So that's nice. Um, the most important thing for me is comfort, because as I said, my gaming sessions can be long, and everyone knows that. You're playing a game like Monster Hunter, you're with like 5 6 friends and you're doing groups and stuff like that, you're going to be there for hours. And what was little this was the only part for me it was strange. And I can't use this as a negative for the GPS 500, I mean GSP 500, because I don't know if it's just my head, my ears. I mean, I don't have huge ears or anything, but the like cone shape, for me, it always felt, even when I adjusted it, like there's a little bit too much of an open gap. But the sound quality never dropped.
Hmm.
So I think it's more me, because normally you think, okay, if it's suction cupped on your head, you're gonna get the best sound, especially when you turn up things like both World of Warcraft, Monster Hunter, especially Monster Hunter. You want to be able to hear things around. You'll hear the monsters crawling here. You'll hear the water. You hear the trees rustling. Especially you turn up the audio quality high. So I was thinking to myself, okay, if these aren't suction cupped onto my ears and onto my head, then I'm going to hear like outside noise and ear and background. I didn't hear that, but it just took time for me to get used to the fact that it doesn't have like that straight oval shape like how these have. So, but they were still comfortable. Like the padding, as you see, is really thick and it's really comfortable. So when I had it on, like I said, the two gaming sessions were basically like almost like 4 hours at a time, quick little break, another 4 hours. So I was going all out. So I was wearing these things all day and it was really comfortable. And what's cool is up here you can also do extra adjustments for the
Hmm.
shape and size of your head. So as you move these, it adjusts the the padding and how much you can adjust this
Hmm.
part, the top part. So the more you push down on it, it's a little bit more stiffer, and then the more you extend on it, it's more malleable, so that you can really shape it around your head. And that was one thing I had to get used to, because I never had a pair of headphones that had this before. So what
Hmm.
happened is that I would put it on, and then it was comfortable enough, but once you really start to set this in around your head, then you feel the full comfort all the way across your head. So I didn't feel the bar on the top, I didn't feel it on the sides or anything like that. Also, just the mic never felt like it was in the way, and that's one thing that I always thought. I always thought that if since this one wasn't as malleable as some of my other ones, I said, man, it's gonna be sticking in my face, or it's gonna feel like it's like blocking my view. It never did. It sit perfectly for me where it wasn't in the way. So I would say, as far as comfort and all that, it just took a while for me to get used to it, but they were really comfortable for a long period. Now, it's wired, as you can see. But
Hmm.
what's really cool is it came with two different wires. It has a really long one, which you can't really see, but I mean it's really long, to the point where I got to get the exact feet, but it's long where you can have it on your gaming, or even if you're hooking up to a TV and you can like sit on a couch that's a couple of feet away. So that's really cool.
Hmm.
And then they also have another small one for, like, let's say you're listening to it on your laptop or your phone or your iPad or something like that. They have a shorter cable that's separate. And what I really thought was cool is if you look here, the cable actually unplugs from here.
Hmm.
So you can take it off and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to take it over here. So let's say you have this plugged into your computer at all times and you have the shorter one plugged into your laptop. So then you just go over to your laptop one and you just take the other end
Plug
and
it
then
in.
you plug it in and then you're good to go. And then it's like, okay, I'm done at my desktop. I'm going to unplug it, take it over to my laptop, plug it into a shorter cable. So that was really cool there. I like the fact that, it is wired, but you're able to just plug it and go from there. And as I said, overall, as far as sound quality, ease of use, I mean, if you've gotten any type of higher end headphones, then you're going to see a lot of the same things. I mean, the sound quality sounded great. Like I said, I always like to hear the most I can get out of my game. So I always turn up the sound quality. I have a good sound card on my computer, so I was able to hear everything. Um, when you set it to surround sound, you actually do hear the surround sound, which I remember the first time I ever heard that in headphones, it tripped me out because you always used to like stereo. You figure, left, right, whatever.
Mhm.
But the way that this is designed, you'll hear it where it almost sounds like it's coming from behind. Where if something's behind you, you'll hear it on, let's say it's directly behind you, you'll hear it both, but it'll sound in the background. Where if they're shooting in the front ground, that sound is loud, but then you can still hear footsteps coming from behind you. So, I mean, that's nothing new, but just to say that that's what you can expect as far as sound quality here. And I also sometimes listen to music and things, and I'd say this isn't something that's specific to these headphones, but I like the fact that the sound quality sounds good when I'm listening to multiple things. Because I'll be playing a game and I don't, depending on the game, I'll listen to the in-game music, but like World of Warcraft, after a while, I've heard the dungeon music 100 times. I'll turn it down, I'll have music on, and I'm on the voice chat. So hearing
Hmm.
all the different things, people's voices come in clear, the game comes in clear, the music comes in clear, and it's strange, but it almost sounds like they each have the correct sound for what you're listening to. Like the music sounds really good, the video game sounds really good, and then the voice sounds really good. Now, the last part about this is price. Okay, so these retail at about 250 bucks. So obviously, well, it's a little bit cheaper, like 230,
Mhm.
230 to 250, depending on where you find it. So they have cheaper versions of the same thing that will have a little less features attached to it. So obviously, that price point's kind of high, considering like you can get the Xbox One for about that price.
Hmm.
So definitely, it's one of those things that you want high end quality, but the thing is that when you buy it, they're going to be on for a long time. It's not something that you're switching out every couple of months. I mean, when I've bought headphones, I've had it for years, and as new technology comes out or better things come out, they still work with you. They have the updated drivers or whatever. So I think I've learned, especially getting older, it's better to spend the money than to go cheap, because I used to look for like the $50 headphones, but either they'll break or they hurt after they're on your ears for a while. Sometimes it's better just to put the money down. So definitely I would say that if you're looking for a high-end gaming headset, look at this, compare it to some of the other ones. You'll never go wrong with these guys. They've always put together great stuff. I enjoyed it. So it's up to you to decide. I never tell you that you have to do something, but I
Hmm.
definitely would say put it on your list, do your own research, and see if it's something that you like.
Yeah, like my thing is I've always looked at want to get a good um like a good set of headphones for surround sound. So like I like first person shooters and I've played ones where like sound makes a huge difference. Um and one of the things that I've noticed, so like I got sound, like I used to do the onboard sound,
Yeah.
and this last computer that I built, I actually got a sound blaster again because I'm like, oh, I haven't used one around. What's really cool is on the sound blasters, they have an option for the headphones called Scout Mode, which it
Hmm.
almost like enhances the sound. So like it's weird to describe it, but it's as if you can hear farther out. The only kind of weird thing with the technology is if it's turned on and you're in a game and you're in something like Discord, the moment somebody in Discord talks, it brings back the sound of the Scout Mode.
Ah.
But when I'm playing like a game like Rainbow Six Siege, where it's like all coming from the game, like I could hear people from farther away. So I could start hearing them. And I'm like, oh, I hear them. The only thing that's weird is it comes down to the game. So one of the things that's funny is like a game that I've been playing a lot, as we talked about in the Obsolete Gamer show, is I've been playing Rainbow Six Siege a whole bunch of games. The thing that's crazy, which is it's been something that it's been happening since the release of the game, and everybody's like, you have to, you have to, address this. You have to address this. You have to address this. And they've been saying like, yeah, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it, and like haven't been fixed. Is the way that the sound works in that game. So the way that the sound works in Rainbow Six is if I'm standing with my back to a wall and there is a door close to me on the right-hand side and I'm in against the wall and there's a door twice as far away on the left-hand side, the way that the game works is you hear the sound come to your ears, whichever side, whichever path is shortest in game for the sound to get to you. Which means I could be standing with my back to the wall. You could be on the opposite end of the wall to my left, and I will hear the sound come in on my right ear cup. Because the sound takes less time to travel around that open door on my right side than it does to my left. And it has been something that people have been complaining about for ages. Because, of course, what's going to end up happening? I hear the sound coming from my right. I'm going to turn to my right.
Yeah.
So what's going to end up happening? You're coming around that door on the left behind me. You're going to kill me from behind. And it's like, how in the world is he behind me if I heard him from the right-hand side? You know? So it's been something. Supposedly they say, like, they fixed some of it. And it's, I still don't know. But, like, one of the things that I've always wanted to do is I've wanted to get me a set of like true 7.1 surround, like hardware 7.1, not virtual. Because like you say, the virtual ones, you can kind of hear like it sounds like it's behind, but like at times you're like, was that behind me or was that in front of me? Like I've had that hard distinction of like, it's hard to tell. Whereas when it's like a hardware surround, like I've listened to some, like you can tell the difference. Like, oh yeah, that's behind me. Oh wait, that's in front of me. You know.
Well, what's interesting is one of the things is I did with these headphones after it was like later at night, friends were logging off. I said, okay, let me just watch something, and I was watching the Last of Us remastered playthroughs, and I was like, you know what? Let me do it like old Doom 3 style. Because I remember back in the day with Doom 3, they're like, all right, you really want to play this game, turn off all the lights, make it really dark, put on headphones, and focus on the game. And I admit, that made it scarier because you're like, you're hearing noises, you're hearing things coming from behind. And I didn't even have fancy headphones back then. But still, like, you would hear the sound. It got me scared. So that's what I did. And I was watching the gameplay, and I was like, I really felt like I was hearing things in the background, when they were exploring, looking for things on the area, and I was like, this is a kind of immersion that you want to get because you kind of do get a disconnect when you're playing a video game, but your friends are talking to you because you're kind of in the game, but your friends are right there speaking in your ear, talking about all types of stuff, so it's kind of separate too. But it's interesting that when you immerse yourself, I remember the first time I really felt that immersion in the game was EverQuest when I was in Kelethin up in the where the Wood Elves live, and it started raining. That was the first time I ever experienced raining in a game like that, And it's a 3D game, and you're walking around, it's raining, and you hear the water hitting the ground, and it actually sounded different between if it hit the grass or it hit the wood, and then you hear the thunder in the distance. And they'd even have different thunders. I mean, this is an old game now, really old, but they'd have like I think it was maybe 3 or 4 different thunder sounds. So one close, one medium, one far, like that. And that kind of immersion was great.